She's the woman whose name has exploded into the headlines all over the world.
Basically, anyone who's ever had my phone number ever has texted or called.
I sat down with Stormy Daniels, the adult film star who, according to the Wall Street Journal, was paid $130,000 to keep silent about an alleged affair she had with Donald Trump in 2006. Stormy says she's been trying to ride out the scandal in the small Texas town where she lives with her husband and their 7-year-old daughter.
You have kind of a normal Texas life, right?
I have a strangely normal life, yes. And then I wake up one morning and there's, news trucks and reporters outside of my house, and now suddenly I'm actually having to make phone calls to hire security.
Do you have security with you much of the time now?
Yes, I have hired security.
Have you been worried for your safety? Has anyone threatened you?
Yes, I have been threatened.
The alleged affair happened in 2006, just 4 months after Melania Trump gave birth to son Barron. According to the Wall Street Journal, she signed a non-disclosure agreement when she was paid the $130,000 in the days just before last year's presidential election. Stormy was less than forthcoming when I asked her about the allegations.
Did you have a sexual relationship with Donald Trump? You can't answer that. Did you have any relationship with Donald Trump?
Well, I think it's common, by looking at photos that I've met him.
So you've met him. You met him in Lake Tahoe. Can you say that? You met him when you were at a golf tournament. That's where the photo was taken.
Last week, I spoke to Stormy's friend and fellow adult actress, Alana Evans. She says she spoke to Stormy the morning after the alleged tryst with Trump.
I wanted the details. And her response to me was, well, picture this. Donald Trump chasing me around a hotel room in his tighty-whities.
Alana said the next day, you said that Donald Trump was chasing you around the hotel room in his tighty-whities. Did that happen? There are reports you've been paid $130,000 to be quiet. Have you been paid to keep quiet? Have you signed a non-disclosure agreement? Are you frustrated that you can't talk about these things? You clearly want to say, you're looking at me like you can't talk. I'm taking this that you can't say anything. Is that accurate? I'm taking that as a yes.
You're so pretty.
I guess we'll have to leave it at that. Since the scandal broke, Stormy's name has been everywhere.
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels.
Are you surprised with the size of this story?
Definitely very surprised with the size of the story, and also very surprised at how much stuff is just completely made up about me.
Like what?
Like people are saying that I dated this person or that person, and I've never even met or heard of that person.
What do you think the biggest misconception about you is?
The big misconception is that I'm stupid, or that I'm greedy, or an opportunist, or an attention, I can't say that word, but you know what.
Did you see Saturday Night Live?
Saturday Night Live is my favorite show of all time.
And you were portrayed on the news.
Right.
I just wanted to be on Celebrity Apprentice. That's not going to happen.
How did you feel about your portrayal on that show?
Did I giggle? Yes.
If you could make all of this scandal, this talk, stop like this, would you do that?
Yes.
Do you think it's going to happen?
Do you have a magic wand? Because I don't.
Gloria Allred, it's great to see you here in Sundance in the snow with your documentary, Seeing All Red, which I love. Your whole crew, everyone's walking around in their red.
Yes, that's right. And many people who attended the screening of Seeing All Red last night also wore red. People I didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't ask people to do that, but it's a very thrilling experience that they did do that. So, the excitement for me was that I feel the audience got it. and they want to be part of the change. And so there were questions about, Gloria, what steps can I take now?
Yeah.
What more can I do?
Obviously, the doc focuses on two major cases: the Bill Cosby and Trump. Where are we with both of those cases?
Well, you do see many of the accusers of Bill Cosby in Seeing All Red, and you hear their stories as they told them. And there was a criminal trial. That criminal trial ended in a deadlock. Mr. Cosby is going to be retried in a second criminal trial, and that's coming up in April. And a big issue in that case is going to be how many other accusers are going to be permitted to testify. The prosecution asked for 13 in the first trial. The court permitted only one. Happened to be one of my clients. She was very courageous and she testified. This time, again, in this new criminal case, the prosecution is asking for 19 accusers to be permitted to testify. And we don't know. It's the same judge. Don't know if he will change his ruling or not. I would expect that the defense is probably going to object to any accusers being able to testify other than the one person, Andre Constant, for whom charges were filed. So that's ongoing. I have a civil lawsuit against Mr. Cosby alleging child sexual abuse of my client, and that's trailing, and we'll proceed with that after the criminal case is decided. As to President Trump, I did file a lawsuit 3 days before his inauguration on behalf of one of the women who spoke out against him, made allegations of sexually inappropriate conduct, and she spoke out during the campaign for president, as did many other women. Mr. Trump then called all of them who had spoken out publicly liars, said what they said was fiction, fabrication, threatened to sue them. After the election, he didn't sue them. I called on him to retract. He failed to retract. And so 3 days before the inauguration, because truth matters,
right?
Women matter, I filed a lawsuit on behalf of one of the brave women who spoke out. And Mr. Trump, President Trump, has filed a motion to dismiss that civil lawsuit, defamation lawsuit, which we filed in New York, Manhattan Supreme Court. And we have objected to, to his motion to dismiss. We filed our opposition. Right. He filed his reply. There was oral argument, and we are literally awaiting the court's decision, which could come any day. And the court has not indicated when she will issue her decision, but that she will e-file it. And it's a very important case. And, we're hoping that we will be able to proceed with this lawsuit. And, of course, one of the issues is that raised by president's attorneys, he's too busy. Right. And, of course, we want to be respectful of the president's schedule. And we said if we are allowed to proceed and take his deposition, that we will accommodate his schedule and even be willing to take his testimony under oath between rounds of golf at Mar-a-Lago.
There's a couple of things I want to talk that really struck me in this documentary, and Gloria Steinem talks about this, like, you are not conflict adverse. You are in it. You have gotten in great arguments live on television. You are a fighter. And there's a scene where you're in D.C. and it's the day after the march, and I just found out later it was just shot on an iPhone. But watching this scene where you kind of are in, with the demonstrators, and a pro-Trump, obviously a white supremacist, comes at you so aggressively, spewing just hateful things that I'm not going to repeat here. And you were completely calm, and you diffused the situation from my point of view. I was enraged watching it, and you had the exact opposite reaction that you've had, obviously, in a courtroom and on television where I've seen you, where you just said, I hear you, appreciate your, freedom of speech.
I value everybody's free speech, and I try to respect everybody, and I'm used to people who have strong feelings. And how they handle their strong feelings. And so I like to be respectful of other people, even those with different points of view, even people who may want to intimidate me. or may want to bully me, or just don't even know that they're doing that, or it's not their intention, but that's the way they act. So it was a moment that terrified one of our producers, and that's what she has said later, because she didn't know if I was going to be physically attacked. And because we didn't know the moment was going to be happening, nobody was around to protect me.
Right.
Couldn't even get to me because there were so many women, but the women protected me. Women I didn't know, women who were part of the protest, just had this natural instinct, as many women do, to assist and try to protect another woman who might be at risk of harm. So it was a moment. And I mean, I think sometimes I need to be a very strong advocate for women. And I'll take whatever strategy I think is necessary to help to have a voice for women, be one of the many voices. And I like to listen to. And so I listened to the Trump supporters. And I think they were put a little bit off balance by the Gloria Allred that they never expected. I have taught in very tough schools. I was a teacher for 6.5 years in public schools, and what they used to call disadvantaged students, high-risk students, which were simply people who wanted to have an education, but were really not given the best teachers at the time that I was teaching. And so I think I never had any problem in these very high-risk schools, because if you're just respectful of other people, and they know that you do care about them, it usually works out. Sometimes I've had to go to war for women, so to speak, with very strong advocates for rich and powerful and famous men. You see that in the film as well.
Well, the detractors, the one that's like, oh, it's Gloria Allred. She's just after money. I thought
well, they can try to wage personal attacks. By the way, I make no apologies for seeking full compensation for victims who have been harmed by powerful men. They deserve it. And, sometimes, men have their principles and they seek, money. And I don't think women that should have to either choose between having their principles or compensation for the harm. I think they should have it all, just like men do. And that's not a bad thing for victims who have been harmed, who've been sexually assaulted, who've been raped, who've been the victims of child sexual abuse, sexual harassment in the workplace, to seek compensation. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And I'm proud that they want to assert their legal rights. So people can attack me all day and call me names, and all I think of is, well, good, because that means they have no good argument about what I am saying. And because they have no good argument, they respond by name calling. So they've sent me a message, not intending to do so, but I get it, that they can't come up with a good argument against what I'm saying, so they'll just use ad hominem attacks. But I also see it as good because it means that they're engaged in the conversation about women's rights. I want them to be engaged in that conversation. I want the harms that are inflicted on women to be heard, because that's how we create change. And we want change for women. We want more rights for women. We want women to be empowered and to stand up, as they did in the film. We saw them, not through me, but supporting them in having their voice heard. And that's a way of seeking justice as well. So I want to say that there are men also who came to the screening yesterday, some of whom told me they were fathers of young girls, their daughters, and they thanked me and they said, we know you're fighting for our daughters. We know we want a safer and better world and more rights for our daughters. So thank you. So not all men agree that this is a bad thing. We need change in all areas of life, in the business world, in the entertainment world, the sports world, the political world. And but nobody's going to give us our rights, as I've said many times. Nobody ever gave us the right to vote. We had to fight to win it for 72 years. And now we're fighting to win the passage of the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And we're in the 95th year of trying. And you see women moving from victim to survivor, to fighter for change. You see the transformation in the film of what women can do and how, even though legally for some of them it may be too late to file a lawsuit or have their case criminally prosecuted in a court of law, they still have options. And many of them in the film, you see what they did.
Yeah.
They took this lemon and they made lemonade, okay? And they're empowered now because of it.
It's great.
And so you see it happening right before your eyes. And so I'm so proud of them. And this film is for them.